Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back to Pinball Arcade. So last time we did Adam's Family, I was not particularly impressed. I think part of the problem there is when you give a table description that says this is the best table ever, you've really got to bring your A game and convince pretty much everybody who already has a best pinball game ever in their mind that the table is better. And I just did not see it. Adam's Family is a fine table. Nothing. It is right there in the top 30, but I wouldn't even put it in the top 20. Today we're doing Al's Garage Band Goes on a World Tour 1992. I only saw the world tour there, so I thought this was going to be a racing game theme, but now that I think about it, I guess it is a music theme. It's a rocking table with a rad action figures designed by Mitchell Gottlieb and Jerry Armstrong, which is funny because this is like the first Gottlieb table that actually seems to have Gottlieb, somebody named Gottlieb involved. But we really haven't seen a Williams or a Stern actually involved in any table developments, which means maybe they never did create tables, or maybe there was no Williams or Stern. It would be particularly in line for a business to name their company to make it sound like somebody owns the company, and then that somebody being pretty much is just a figurehead or non-existent. So not Michael Gottlieb and Jerry Armstrong for Alvin G and Company, which was founded in 1991 by Alvin Gottlieb. So two Gottliebs, and closed in 1996 after producing 8 games. Interesting. So they made 8, I assume, pinball tables, and they went out of business. So Gottlieb, wow, for a table producer that basically made 8 tables and then got their name, I guess, as consumed by Williams, I think, or some other company. It must have been really good tables for it to have any historical relevance at all. The table features the world's first spinning ramp, the CD ramp, the bump buttons. Interesting idea. Does that mean it's going to actually shake the table for you? Like Earthshaker, which we haven't seen that gimmick done since, which probably a good move, frankly. Which were flipper buttons attached to small coils to provide player feedback. Other features include the guitar mini playfield, feedback kicker, and music video mode. 1,000 units of this table were produced. Very even number there. And it's just not playing any audio right now, which is weird. For an attract mode. So yeah, like you see these yellow flippers, which scream Williams to me. Is there something else here that? But it says Alvin G and Company, which must have been some kind of spin-off company from Gottlieb that was acquired. So we've got some guitars, we've got some, I would put this more in the 80s style of art being used in the 90s, but that makes sense. Apparently we are going on a world tour, but the world tour in mostly ignores the southern hemisphere except for Australia. So you go to 3 different places in America, 4 different places in Europe, and 1 in Japan and 1 in Australia, depending on whether you want to call Australia part of Asia or not. I don't think technically Australia is part of Asia. I think Australia is both a continent and a country. You have a top play field here where the ball, I assume, pops up at the top on this guitar and then comes down here towards the end playfield. See, and I feel like the Cactus Jack's table could have benefited from something like that. This is basically the second table we've seen where it is around a theme. I don't know if Al's Garage Band in this case is supposed to be good or bad as a band. I can't get an angle to see if maybe there's some standing targets to the right of this guitar, or if it's just straight up shoot under here to hit one standing target, or maybe it actually does loop the ball all the way towards the drums. Oh no, those are just flowers being thrown, roses, not drums for the pop-up bumpers. The pop-up bumpers are in a odd area. Seems like we're going to be doing a lot of center shots, so they've put angled standing targets here, which aren't terrible, and then they've put this big round, I guess that might be the spinning playfield area, and then it seems like it jumps all the way behind the back area, and unless that back area lights up, I have no idea what happens back there. It also seems like when you launch the table, you start by hitting the spinning CD, and then yeah, I guess it goes into the back area and then it shoots to this other ramp that feeds to this ramp that then feeds kind of to the right flipper. There's also a area here that pops up the ball, so I guess maybe the skill shot is to get the ball to land under here. There's a ramp here that loops back for that. These characters are not recognizable by me at all, but yeah, they look fine. It looks like a group of like teenagers, all red-headed, trying to start a garage band and succeed, as if a garage band really would go on world tour. And then you have a old lady, probably the mother, and then you have a girlfriend, or I would assume, I don't want to call her just a groupie immediately, but probably a groupie. I'm not sure if the sides here where you see the notes are supposed to be some kind of standing targets or not, but it seems weird that there's a note missing on the left side there. And then there's a kickback that shoots the ball way up into the guitar, which is that's an interesting idea. I still never really figured out what the pins behind the flippers were for. If anything, they're to stop people from bumping the ball up into the field. I bet that's what they're for. Some standing targets. Let's see, about 4 of them on the lower playfield. Alright, what are our standard goals? Score a skill shot, start the guitar value, earn $3 million world tour, relight the feedback kicker, earn an extra ball. So the kickback is called the feedback kicker. And let's look at the flipper. Alvin G and Co. What it feels like is Gottlieb had probably 2 people with the last name Gottlieb originally, and then there was a spin-off and a breakup, and they didn't want to work together, so Alvin G and Co. was created to hide the fact that his last name was Gottlieb and name confusion. So yeah, there's a blonde girl being highlighted on the flyer. So before I throw out words like sexism, let's keep an ear out to see if we can. Apparently I got the skill shot. That was an auto launcher. We're gonna try and see if they name the female girlfriend and if they give her a voice. Alright, so it is a button launcher. So there's basically no reason to there's no reason to not just get the skill shot almost every time, because it is a video screen launcher. Now, like a lot of tables, we kind of immediately are set up here to have a multi-ball without even warming up and knowing the table. So I don't know where the jackpot is. I don't know what we're shooting for. Video mode is lit. That spinning center shot, it being at the top of the table, it's already a very tight, difficult shot. But so there I just started an instant 3-ball multi-ball. I kind of like the mentality or the thought behind the idea of having a spinning thing, because that theoretically stops the ball from flying back down the center lane and down the out lane before you can catch it. It kind of slows down the ball and puts it at different angles. But there is also a level of randomness. It feels really ridiculous that that you would be at 50 million so far on this table. And there's something very weird about the audio on this table too. It just does not sound right to me at all, it seems. Oh, so I'm in video mode and I'm just supposed to be flipping the flippers. This sounds like it's mono is what it sounds like, and it's not in stereo. Or it's trying for a like surround sound, and the surround sound's just not playing right, which is crazy because you'd think that you'd want the audio to sound really good on a table like this. Unlike Cactus Jack, these don't really feel like a joke garage band. They sound like they can at least play. I don't know enough about music to be a fair critic and say that they're good, but they don't sound comedically bad. They're not doing polkas. If anything, this takes the idea of Cactus Jacks and takes it in a better direction, because it's fantasy fulfillment. Where Cactus Jack is just a joke of a bad band. So I guess the guitar is the top lane rollover, and you're trying to spell mix with the lane change. So, what did I just get on the, not the leaderboards, but the high scores?
I'm calling the police.
Like, first game, halfway through, too easy. Game setup is the same. Options, sound menu. Interesting. So in this case, they've put the menu music into the they put the music, Pinball Arcade has put the music in the wrong place. Interesting. So, yeah, that definitely sounded weird. Extra ball's about the only thing we really need to focus on so far. It looks like the ramp in the far back is just a really wide ramp because of the spinner and has enough room. And it seems like it's that way in case you in Jackpot could get all 3 balls all the way up the top center shot, which is a little unbelievable that you would be able to pull that off very often. I still feel like the audio sounds weird. Like it does sound off, but I don't know if I really changed the audio at all in-game by turning on the menu music. This means that some of the other tables we could have covered would have potentially had some menu music and like, if you were going to make Pinball Arcade today, you would just want a streamer mode where you don't get content ID claimed for things like Pinball Wizard playing, which only happens in the main menu of Pinball Arcade. Even the chiptune table music of Pinball Wizard probably is not accurate enough and close enough to actually trigger a content ID claim. I don't know how.
Don't quit your day job, kiddo.
Yeah, I don't know if the second buttons are doing anything, and I don't know what triggers the skill shot. But since I know it's a digital skill shot, then we know that there's actually no point there at all. You should just flip it and launch the ball as fast as possible. There seems to be very little timing around that idea. This feels like a fairly standard table. It's slightly a busier table than some others where we've seen them a little bit empty. I don't think this is too busy of a table. Everywhere you go seems to score you something, seems to push you forward. It did create a scenario where I could play a very good game on the first playthrough without having to even understand anything, and we definitely do need pinball tables like that to exist. Like that, you need the kid-friendly tables to balance out some of the more pro tables where you have to actually learn the goals. Like, I assume what our actual goal is to go on a complete world tour. And I assume something you do accomplishes a performance at each location. This feels like this might be a bit more of a nudging table. Like, and see that's a weird thing, is that I don't know what these second buttons would do, because I'm hitting the right bump and left bump and they don't seem to be doing anything. And there's basically no other buttons that would have been mapped to a controller. And see, yeah, I just think you have to balance that
Metal monsters, gripping targets.
to get it to move. It's kind of funny that they would name each character. I think we're approaching the point where the blonde is not going to get named or given any line of dialogue. I think the ball might be stuck. Yep. Straight up got stuck.
Lame.
So yeah, I don't know how the guitar actually works.
Record a song.
This is probably a pretty great table to practice some very standard left ramps, right ramps, center right shots. Center shots in particular. There, I got another standard goal without really understanding what I did. For 1992, this is not like, well, in 2021, I would say this is not really terrible, like true rock. As far as rock music, it's what you would call classic rock in 2021. So yeah, I'm just supposed to be hitting the flippers here, left and right, as much as possible in this video mode, and the flippers don't work when I'm doing that, which tells you that the flippers are totally digital, which means the game could decide to screw you at any point and not flip the flipper when you press the button, but people would probably notice that and be very unhappy if it started doing if a table did that. That's basically what the crane games do, is that they, when you're trying to get a toy in a crane game, they are programmed to randomize the amount of pressure that the crane clasps is with. So it looks like it's doing the same thing each time, but actually it's not. It's actually programmed to not really be able to win a lot of scenarios. The Western crane games in particular are bad about that. The Eastern UFO crane games are a little bit better. I don't think we're gonna get the mother. She's just like the mother or the lady in the in the bathrobe. I don't know if she's ever gonna get a voice line or if she's just there, or just the parents don't understand. This feels like one of those multi-balls where if you hit a certain thing, you can restart multi-ball fairly easy and get the balls back that you've accidentally drained.
Record a song.
Yeah. Yeah, another example of that.
Ever think of flipping burgers? Okay. Tell more.
I think I just relit the kickback there, but that didn't. What are we focusing on now? The audio still does feel very mono, but there's two speakers.
Introducing Al Garage Band.
I kind of feel like what I need to do. What is it? Relight the feedback kicker. Still haven't done that and earn an extra ball. Is play a different table just to make sure the audio sounds fine somewhere else. Could be that we just have a bad load.
Stitchy. Quarter song. Lots of kick. Stitchy.
This is one of those very playable tables. Like, I'm not hating it, but I also am not fully understanding it. That was part of the problem with Adam's Family in particular, is that it took me like 5 times to look at the table to figure out what was even the shots I was supposed to try and hit. And it turned out the shot I was supposed to hit more than anything is a fairly difficult shot. But not as bad as Terminator 2. Terminator 2 had like one angle that I could not hit. I tried for an hour trying to hit the same ramp 5 times, and that was a high requirement to hit a ramp 5 times while also hitting 3 drop down targets to light the ramp.
Stitchy. Record a song.
It's still fairly impossible to get a good targeted shot when you're just trying your best to keep the balls in play. I kind of wish that the bumpers would bounce the ball up into the spinning area. The spinning CD is pretty much the same as the SanDisk tables, which we've seen in a couple other tables, but they've done something nice by putting it really far up the table, because there's nothing past that shot that is going to be impossible to hit.
Ever think of flipping burgers?
So if a table must have a spinning disc, which arguably maybe it doesn't have to ever have that, but if it must have a spinning disc, I would want to see it at the far upper field. This is another one of these tables that feels like it is also longer than some of the older tables, or just at a steeper angle. It seems like there is no secondary video mode. Which is making this table start to lose some steam. Like, I have just like Japan, I think, left. Alright, let's see what the standard goals are.
I'm calling the police.
Okay, so the old lady saying I'm calling the police is the only time you hear her voice, and then the groupie, which I think at this point we have to call groupie, seems to not be voiced as a character at all, which you kind of could have used her to ooh and ah quite a bit. relit by hitting the TOUR targets. Yeah, there aren't second flippers on this thing. So the idea, they must have mean that the buttons themselves must have vibrated somehow, or something near the buttons where your hands would have been must have vibrated on the table. But they they don't seem to they don't seem to have emulated that, because if they did emulate that, then that would mean that the vibration of the controller would have been emulated. Yeah, seems like there's several different ways to get an extra ball, a couple different ways. Options, controls, controller. Yeah, there's no special button that would show up here. This is standardized. Vibration is on, and that's standardized. Alright. And see, this was the menu music I didn't want to play. Maybe my ears are just a little bit clogged today, I don't know. Nope, this music sounds a lot louder. It feels like, even if it is mono, it is playing in both ears, whereas like, I have headphones on, and all the audio at this point has felt like it's been playing in both the left and the right of my headphones. And that table, it feels like it is playing in the top of my head, a center stage in phase sound. I still don't see any. I still don't like this table, but I figured this would be the best table to play since I just played it. Yeah,
2 out of 3.
Let me just double check here. Yes, holding the left and the right speaker separate to my ear on my headphones. Sounded fine there.
I'm calling the police.
Left and right speaker works here in the menu.
Introducing Al's Garage Band.
Left and right speaker works here. It just sounds very low quality. This might just be a frequency thing. This might be a 22 kilohertz sampling of audio compared to like a 44 100 kilohertz sampling. Ideally, you want music at like 192 kilohertz if you can get it. But also there's a great argument that if you aren't an audiophile, you can get away with 44-100, which is CD quality, or 4800 kilohertz, which is slightly better than CD quality. I don't think there's a great argument for the human ear to go above 192 kilohertz. I think at that point you are just being overly cautious. But then some people's ears might be good enough to tell a difference. Usually even untrained ears can tell a difference between like CD quality and 192 kilohertz. If the audio is encoded right, but if the audio is encoded badly, like this could almost be inversed audio where one of the wires is crossed and a negative terminal is attached to the positive side of a speaker on one side. Yeah, I don't get the lane change feature on the guitar. I don't think it does anything. Because it feels like it feels like by the time you would change the lane, it would be too late. I feel like there could have been more of a joke element here. You have Stitchy, you have Dr. Skin, and you have one other character. And unless, if you're gonna name somebody Dr. Skin, it should probably have been a parody that he had like zits to make sense. Yeah, I need to cough real bad. I'm gonna try and mute myself. Yeah, I just woke up, so I'm still in that process of decongesting, and that might be the case, is that my ears might be stopped up, my voice might be stopped up, and that might be affecting how I'm hearing the sound. But no, there's definitely something weird about this table, which is very big mistake for making a music rock and roll themed table.
Don't quit your day job, kiddo.
All we're looking for at the moment is to relight the kickback. Like relight the feedback kickback,
Introducing Al's Garage Band.
which means we have to get the ball in the kickback first, and then we need to hit tour.
Don't quit your day job, kiddo.
It's, even by 1992 standards, would have been fairly weird to have bands getting introduced that much. They used to get introduced a lot on late night shows, and that was about it. But now, like most Saturday Night Live, for instance, would not introduce a new band. They would be extremely pushed and published and produced bands that music companies owned. And I don't know if we have any like late night shows in 2021. Alright, what I've got to do is get a fairly deep left shot. It is a very different experience using left and right trigger to push these buttons because you're not getting any audio clackiness. The Xbox One controllers are designed to be pretty quiet, not clicky, where a actual Pinball Arcade style button would be incredibly clicky, and it would be part of the feel and part of the experience there. Okay, hit tour. So then it would just be a matter of getting to the left out lane, I suppose, first. So they're basically asking me to figure out a way to do a shot one should never practice for and never really go for, which is how to flip the ball,
Chicago.
probably with the right flipper,
Record a song.
into an out lane. And that means you'd have to be incredibly weak and arcing. I don't like out lanes. There we go. I don't like out lanes that you can't really get more than one letter. They do address that somewhat by having you not really have to spell but 3 letters, but honestly, even that's asking a little bit much.
Record a song. Okay.
Basically, I need to be able to get the ball over here so I can hit that. There we did. There I relit the kickback. So that's all the standard goals. And that took me 41 minutes, including worrying about the music sounding mad and going and playing a different game, which I'm doing more of in the past couple episodes.
Record a song.
This is a table definitely that is
Dr. Skin.
gonna get very boring
Dr. Skin.
after a couple hours.
Delmore.
There's kind of just the same character. And since we covered the sexism angle of having a blonde groupie who's just nothing but arm candy on the table, let's cover rock and roll and the fact that there's basically 2 types of rock and roll. There's people who are minorities who do rock and roll who basically got their music stolen in the old day, like straight up a case of a lot of white artists stealing rock and roll songs and getting put on the radio, whereas minority black musicians would be blacklisted and not allowed, need not apply. This is historically true. But even in 1992, we're seeing an issue here where it is a garage band of redheaded, what I would assume are white family members. Whereas you could have certainly gone with like a kids club mentality, a Burger King kids club type mentality of having a whole bunch of different people working together and coming and making a band. Making a garage band is kind of a great metaphor for the way the world should probably work, where people come together for a common goal and common interest. And I would say in music we already have a problem there where there is not enough minority people that do rock and roll, and instead they often get forced into other labels or brands of being rappers or jazz musicians, things like that. And it goes the other way too. There's very few white rappers. So we have this unfortunate artificial segregation happening in music still in 2021. In fact, most recently there's an African American man who is a country singer who was completely snubbed by the Grammys from what I hear. I don't follow music that much. I'm still scoring way too high.
I'm calling the police!
But yeah, if you ignore all that, because that's really just a general social commentary about music more than it is about this table. This table seems fine. It is like Party Dude, just trying to have a fun time and just trying to be an interesting concept. Score 10 million point music video, collect all 4 guitar values, so it seems like it's a 4 times multiplier, light to triple all scores, score 200 million jackpot, and start brain damage. Each of these I don't know how to do. So to start music video mode, complete the guitar mix lanes here. The ball can be sent to the guitar by shooting the saucer here, or saving the ball with the feedback in the left kit. Feedback is lit at the start of the game and can be lit that way. Video mode can also be lit by collecting the 3rd World Tour Award Light Music Video. Alright, music video mode is lit. At the right ramp, shoot the ramp to start music video mode. When music video mode is started, the 7-second timer is shown counting down on the display. Music video value starts at 100,000 and is raised by 100,000 each time the flipper button is hit. So it's pretty terrible music video mode. After music video has been lit, complete the mix the first time. Must be completed 4 times to light it again. Okay. So it just wants me to get really, really good as far as that. Start the guitar value, collects this. So it wants me just to shoot under the guitar multiple times. Seems like there's a lot going on this one. Yeah. It's easy to not see that there actually are 2 ramps on the table on the left there, but the art does its best to show that with the blue background versus the orange background. And I guess I should applaud the table for not just doing stereotypes everywhere and playing like playing chopsticks or something when we get to Japan, or doing a terrible Japanese accent, because you certainly could have gone that route. Triple R scores. How do you do that? Completing all 8 letter lights in the playfield here. So you gotta spell rock and roll several times, okay. So how do we get the Multiball Jackpot? First jackpot is 10 million and increases up to 50,000 as long as 2 balls are kept in play. Jackpot value stops increasing and starts decreasing if the balls are held for the flippers more than 2 seconds. Wow, that sucks. If a second jackpot is collected, it's worth twice the value of the first jackpot. If a third jackpot is collected, the fourth and subsequent are worth 4 times. Okay. So you've got to get like 4 jackpots in a row. And then there's this brain damage mode, which I saw. It's interesting that there's no drug references on this table. That shows the anti-drug push that was around all video games, because like clearly a rock and roll band would be doing at least marijuana and heavily drinking, and we see no drug, no alcohol references, no smoking references, really just other clouds, which just a wink and a nod to smoking cigarettes or marijuana. The final World Tour award is called Brain Damage. When Brain Damage award is scored, the CD ramp starts spinning and it is lit to start brain damage. Shoot the CD ramp to start brain damage. All 4 guitar volume modes are activated without a timer. And the jackpot. And go out on the out lanes. Yeah, the thing I think I have more of a problem with is not that it's three white guys, it's that it's 3 redheadeds people that all look exactly the same. They don't even seem to be obvious parodies of other people. Like, and I don't know who you would want there. I think you would get probably a bearded, weird-looking drummer that looks like ZZ Top as a character. You probably want somebody to look like, what is it, Bono, or, yeah. And then you could have easily thrown in a girl as a bass guitar. Maybe in 1992 the rock chick thing hadn't really been introduced as a concept. Alright, well, I think I know what to do here. Yeah, a fat guy with glasses and goatee doesn't. A guy with hair over his eyes and a guy with a mullet, and then the lead guitarist. You would at least have her as a backup singer. It would be very easy to have the pop-up bumpers indicate it was a bringing in the backup vocals. They're indicating it's more like a mosh pit. That's fine too. You have a xylophone player in the background, oddly. And this guy, DJ, this smoky moon-headed DJ doesn't really make any sense. Wow, that table is really sideways. What I still don't know is how you get the jackpot on the skill shot. Okay. At the very least, you could give them. At the very least, you could have given them more interesting names. Delmore is incredibly boring, a name. It is fairly impossible to get to the bumpers.
Record a song.
And that was one of the guitar skin modes, I think.
London. Los Angeles.
The naming of the city is fairly boring. I mean, it should be there. It's just do a second take on those lines. Should be screaming it like good morning Vietnam or good morning Los Angeles, or there should be like a screaming crowd background sound like you would announce that and pander to that local city. This table does show an interesting element that in an average game, if you're just keeping the ball in play and not really focusing on a specific goal, you can get 80% of the way through a lot of the different modes in a table, but you won't actually, without some really good luck, finish more than one mode.
Introducing Al's Garage Band.
So if I want to get brain drain, I need to get really good at hitting the ramps on the left and right. If I want to get the guitar skins, I need to get really good at shooting under the guitar. If I want to get really good at multi-ball, then I need to get really good at locking the balls and being ready for multi-ball and getting jackpots. Arguably, you might save a little bit of time, but probably not that much if you focused on multi-ball first. That way you are that way you are ready for potentially during multi-ball starting another collecting more things. I'm pushing this as hard as I can. I don't see how I can, with the throw of an Xbox One controller, get that score much higher on video mode. Unless this is a scenario where all scores double tripled, with then getting video mode would work out that way. Which that might be the case.
Los Angeles. Ever think of flipping burgers?
You may have noticed also I have a left shot for the loop that's really tight, and I'm getting it quite a lot. Oh, well actually it's a right flipper shot to the left loop around ramp, but then my left flipper shot is a little bit at a different angle, and so it's ending up in the video mode ramp. So I need to fix that depending on what I'm gonna try and focus on, if I'm gonna try and focus on anything.
Los Angeles. Metal Monster. Super Skin.
Okay.
Chicago. Cactus Skin. Delmore.
Well, I actually got the ball up there. It doesn't seem like that way actually ramps around, though. There must be a gate or something I missed, because it's not ramping around. It's hitting the bumpers, which means I was better off before. It definitely feels like there should be some top lane light ups at the top there. I think this guitar top lane does kind of do a better job than Pinbot did, because Pinbot took a lot of the table to have that upper playfield section, and then kind of didn't do a lot with it. It was just a upper playfield with a few pegs, and that was it. So if the idea is that some of these modes are solos for the musician, it's weird that the music does not work that way. And it doesn't like stop the music from playing See, and I tried to have less of a throw on the triggers that time, and I got 2 million less. Like, I would highly recommend, if you were new to Pinball Arcade and were just learning, map the triggers to the left and right bump. That will be a much more accurate to pushing a pinball button. Although it's kind of impossible to recommend Pinball Arcade at this point. I'd say wait for Pinball FX's relaunch or get Pinball FX 3 if you can't wait. And the collection of tables that I have now may not be the vast majority of the tables I have now on Pinball Arcade are not accessible. Not something you can buy. So if there is some table that went unlicensed and converted to Pinball FX 3, you may lose out there. Although in all fairness, this is a table that, yeah, if this was not in the curation, I wouldn't miss it. I never saw this table in reality, in the real world.
Metal monster, tripping target.
In a funny way, this table is not trying to trick you into thinking it's something else. Like, I seriously doubt there was an Aerosmith table that looked exactly like this and that you could actually get confused by that.
Don't quit your day job, kiddo.
Like, even if they didn't want to completely eliminate the fairly repetitive backing music on this table, they could have brought the volume down during these solo modes and really had it focus just on the drummer's part drumming.
Way cool.
This table really may be more evidence to just the power of having a licensed product and being really getting way more success than you probably deserve just because you've licensed something bigger. Come on. Let me get hard simulating shots while the spinner is spinning for that multi-ball. This does, as a table, work. I'm not totally hating it. Alright, let's see what happens if I try to push the flippers at the same time versus putting them, no, alternating same time seems to not really change.
Lots of gig, man.
Alright. So we there just heard the groupie scream once.
Record a song.
The CD spinner at the top really doesn't do anything. And so
Introducing Al's Garage Band.
I think even in 1992, having a cassette tape might be a more interesting, like, equivalent to Pinbot's Eyes, where you could have two balls land on the center of the cassette, on the holes of the cassette tape, ready for 3-ball multi-ball. I saw that. I knew that was going to drain, and still my reaction time as far as nudging is pretty bad. But yeah, its spinning does very little as far as increasing score or making the game interesting, which I guess is a catch-22 as far as spinning discs, because generally a pro pinball player is going to hate them. I pretty much hate them. But I'm also complaining about the fact that it's not adding anything to the table. Where you could have potentially had just another bumper there instead. I think specifically for a garage band, there's a lot of effort to get resources. So, guitars, having a mode where you try to get better equipment, better guitars, better drums, guitar lessons, drumming lessons, or getting the band together in the first place might be a start. A good move too, where you have to collect each person and get them into a tour van for the world tour. I think that would have helped focus more on the people instead of just a map of the world that you theoretically are going to different locations, but going to different locations doesn't really do anything for you. Ironically, in 2021, there was that Trolls World Tour movie, and kids these days would probably be expecting something around that, that style of movie, where the Trolls movies are full of all kinds of different music from all kinds of different genres. Yeah. Highest I can get is 7.8 million. And I really have to question whether you can successfully spell rock and roll the 4 times they seem to want you to spell it, because so often you're like halfway through multi-ball when doing that anyways. Schizoid ball might not be an acceptable term in 2021. You probably would just go with crazy ball, so that's fine. That'd be an easy change.
New York.
This is a table. A lot of tables, when they give you multi-ball, actually are just encouraging you to play worse and drain the ball out. This table drains a lot in the center, so we can't go through my standard thing that I've been saying almost every table now, is like we could have a center peg on this table, but that's about the only complaint I can make, because this table does have a ball saver and it does have a kickback, so it's 2/3 of the way there as far as what I would want to see in the table. And I can't say I have a super legitimate argument against any of the ramps here. There are some places where there are bumpers on the edges of ramps where those could have been standing targets instead, but I'm getting fairly nitpicky. The main problem here is the audio. This table just sounds awful for a music themed one. I don't know if maybe they're simulating really bad quality speakers. And if this is a new pinball company and this is like one of their 8 tables they made, they probably just did not have the connections and the economy of scale to get good quality products. In 1992, having good quality speakers is an actual thing. It's not like you can just get speakers from anybody and they'll be fine, which you pretty much can do nowadays unless you're a major audiophile. Like a pair of headphones coming free with a cell phone is decent quality speakers. I didn't even start fast enough, so I'm not even going to get very high at all on that one. Well, speaker quality was pretty terrible in the 80s and 90s. A lot of physics were researched and improved on making speakers sound better. And of course we have codecs now like Dolby Pro Logic and DTS and Atmos. There's so many different labels for so many different new codecs and enhancements to make audio sound even better. So what we'll try and keep an eye out for is to see if we see anything that says it has Pro Logic or something like that. Or DTS. It would have just been called Dolby or DTS originally, I imagine. And yeah, if I was making a modern table of this that would be something I do for all tables, is I would have a headphone jack on the front and I'd have really good quality audio.
Metal monster, tripping target.
There's kind of some randomness as far as getting all of the guitars, so it's not really surprising I haven't succeeded there. And I think I've finally figured out that the guitar, you're supposed to have the guitar line up so that the unlit light is in the lane that it will hit. So I started early this time. But see, that still only got me to 8.1 million. If I can hit the guitar.
Record a song.
I need to get really good at hitting the guitar. And clearly I'm not there.
Moscow City. Back to skin. Back to gig, man. Chicago.
So there's a World Tour Multiball.
Back to skin.
There's one jackpot.
New York. Back to skin. Stitchy.
Ever think of flipping burgers?
Tour again. Stitchy.
Still not really sure how you get that jackpot. It seems like you don't. on, hit the guitar. Honestly, this probably needs to be our last game. This table's fine. If anything, I'd say I like this table more than I like Adam's Family, because it at least has more shots and more things to focus on. But yeah, I probably wouldn't come back to it too often.
Record a song.
Ever think of flipping burgers?
Yep. Would there be any reason to even try and cheat on this one? Let's see. Interesting volume sign. So you've got adjustments, bookkeeping, and tests. Different menu. Under adjustments, you have standard, feature, pricing, high scores, utility. So under standard, you've got your standard changes of things. Game over tracked at 30 minutes seems really ridiculous. Max free game 6, balls per game 3, max extra balls 3. Very limiting, a lot of these when you start to look at the inside of it. Guitar timer medium. Calling police sounds, you can turn that off. Recall mix. Recall target extra ball. Mercy multiball medium guitar timer. Yeah, I'm not really seeing any big difference here. Which that seems to be the case with a lot of these, is that there is basically no This might be a case where the music just needs to be turned up in the operator menu. But I don't know if that really controls anything at all. Now it's taking forever to load. It may have glitched it. That might be the perfect point to stop here. Hey, the Pinball Arcade sign. You can actually see it in this attract mode. Yep. Totally glitched. See if we can load back in. Nope. Totally glitched.
Introducing Al's Garage Band.
So if you've got ball control, where can you really hit here? You can almost make it up to CD ramp. If anything, I think the ball control on this one might be fairly doable. So the red drop target on the right is the groupie sound effect.
Metal monster. Whoa, rock and roll.
And then when you're doing rocking ramps,
Moscow.
like, it says I cannot even get the dumb ball in the right place.
Twisted.
Yeah, that center top peg is the point where you have to where you have to decide which one's going to be lit and which one's not. See, I'm trying to just cheat you just to see what the different things would do. Seems like spelling tour probably does give you some rewards. Hitting the bumpers jumps the guitar.
Los Angeles.
We know we get a World Tour multi-ball
Moscow.
if we fill out it. So the World Tour, man, oh man, seriously. Ball control in Pinball Arcade is totally useless. Like, absolutely useless. You cannot even keep the ball from draining out.
Delmore.
And I don't know if that is the frame rate because I have a really strong graphics card and it's just programmed really badly, which maybe that's the case.
Delmore. Dr. Skin.
But yeah, if you want to light up all the guitar modes, you basically have to
Tripping target.
hit the bumpers. And tripping targets, again, as a drug reference. They clearly wanted this to be much more drug referencey. And maybe that's why it's a new company, is that they were going to try and target this towards drug references, but most arcades, at least outwardly, were not places where they wanted to have cops showing up, searching kids for drugs, or adults for drugs even. So that was not particularly encouraged behavior. It probably didn't happen, but
Stitchy. Dr. Skin.
come on, yeah. There's just like no cheating. Maybe I can hit these targets and get the award to go up. Well, it's basically spelling 3 blind mice, but if the ball even gets close to the flippers, I basically have to hit the flippers. And then when you're in multiball, cheating isn't going to get you anywhere.
Stitchy. Los Angeles. Little monster. Super Skin.
Yeah, it's just counterintuitive to have the spinner spinning during the jackpot, because that makes it far too hard. And at that point, it should be a super jackpot, not a hit this 4 different times with 3 pinballs, if you can keep 3 pinballs in play. Unless it is a case where the jackpots don't reset between multi-balls, which that might be the case. Again, stupid ball control. Just trying to snake the ball
Delmore.
up in such a way so that it can go up the angled shot there.
Lane. Yes.
I think that would have.
Okay.
See, even if I did get 10 million on this one, I'm cheating, so it wouldn't count.
Sell more.
So I think I've gotten all of the skins on the guitar. We're about to have a World Tour multi-ball, which means we've pretty much seen everything there is to see on this table.
Don't quit your day job, kiddo.
There we go. And I can't even get the ball back up. And it's a ridiculously high scoring table too. Apparently hitting all of the tour lights is not what increases the scores anyways. Oh, actually, come to think of it, I knew that. Right. Keep 2 balls in play. Nope, can't do that.
Sell more.
So I don't know if that was the second jackpot of this game. If you just have to get a jackpot for each, like 4 times between 4 different multi-balls, that is much more doable per game. It is also incredibly easy if you get really good at doing the lane shots to get a multi-ball. Like you're talking just shooting the ball through a loop. What is it? 6, 7, 8 times? One way or the other? That is real easy to pull off once you can get those shots with like a 95% accuracy.
Metal monster. Lightning boom.
Which I guess means you can probably then score a lot higher on a table like this. But it's too easy, frankly, the scoring, and it doesn't feel earned. The score creep has gotten insane. Yeah, I think overall AJ's Garage Band goes on a world tour. It implies that AJ as a character might show up somewhere else, which I'm not sure. Or Al's Garage Band goes on world tour, not AJ's. And let's see, we've got like 19,999,999. There's clearly been some cheating here. As far as the top 10% overall. Whereas 2 billion seems like a particularly low number, which I bet that's because not that many people have played it. I'm playing this on a Saturday, so either it resets on Saturday. I thought it reset on Sunday, but okay, let's say it reset on Saturday. I'm playing this at 7 p.m. in the evening on Saturday, and literally 4 people have played this table. So yeah, you can see there's definitely a lack of enthusiasm here. If we look at my score as far as monthly, I'm playing this on the 3rd day of the month, and I'm number 18 of what, probably 89. Yeah, only 89 people have played this table in the first 3 days of the month. Let's go over here and set the sound menu so that the menu music is back down. Yeah. Arguably room brightness might help turning that down, or bulb brightness turning that down might help for some tables too. Yeah, I'm not enthusiastic about that table at all. In a funny way, I think I would be more... No, I really wouldn't want to play Cactus Jacks either. I'm not sure that there is even a table before that worth mentioning that's around a band and music. Yeah, there basically isn't a music table. So I guess the real question is, there a music band table that would catch my interest? It would have to be a fairly licensed thing. It would have to be an Aerosmith or the Beatles or some major band that everybody recognizes. And I just don't see a licensed table here to do that. I know there was almost certainly an Aerosmith table, but they didn't clearly get the license for it. Alright, well, next time we're going to be looking at this pirate looking one, and it's been quite a while since we've had a pirate themed one. In fact, we may never have had a pirate themed one. Interesting. You would have thought that there would have been a pirate themed table up until this point, and then we maybe run into some redundancy with Creature from the Black Lagoon. But that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and give me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.